And sticking with sports, we know Foot Locker is looking to distinguish itself from the competition with both its store revamps and its product offerings. So I do want to send things over to my colleague down on the floor of the stock exchange, Trinity Chavez, with more. Trinity.
Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, joining me now is Jessica Ramirez. She is the Senior Research Analyst at Hali and Associates. Good morning. It's great to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk more about Foot Locker, right? They are transitioning very much so into basically the landscape and really refreshing their brand. So what do you think they need to do to be successful long term?
Yeah, so Mary Dillon's plan, I feel, is going in the right direction. Again, they are up a very tough macro environment overall. But the store refreshes, the brand diversification, better strategy with the store itself and how they're connecting to the consumer is headed in the right direction again. And with the recent earnings, we did see green shoots off of that as well.
And you know, Foot Locker works with a lot of NYSE listed companies, including Nike. So tell me about what you're seeing from Foot Locker when it comes to diversification across the company.
Yeah, so in terms of Nike, she's come in and she has mended that relationship. We are seeing it move in a different direction and really focusing on basketball, which makes sense for Foot Locker. That is a core for Foot Locker. And again, in a competitive landscape where so much of sneakers has been a bright spot and there's so many other brands, there has to be a niche for them, and I think that's the right direction. Where you have Dick's Sporting Goods, who also reported yesterday, has done fantastic. They also have a brand diversification, but again, she's brought in brands like New Balance, which is doing great for them. You have Asics, you have Hoka, which again, all these brands have clearly had really great results in recent earnings.
Let's talk more about this, the basketball subject, right? I mean, how do you think basketball is such a crucial, pivotal thing for the company's overall success, and especially in the short term?
Yeah, so with basketball, in general, the sport has had a lot of momentum in men's and especially in women's. Women's has really had a lot of hype, and you have more women paying attention to basketball, playing basketball. So it's very niche for that. We have had some newness in basketball as well. So Adidas had their AE1, and that sneaker has done fantastic. Puma has also done quite well with the MB, and again, that's something that is quite pivotal to them. And if you think of basketball, the tunnel has really become a runway and a way of inspiration. So for women and men, that's quite shifted in the way that the consumer looks at how to dress on the court or off the court.
And you know, you've been covering an increasing amount of competition in the sports sector specifically, but what do you think ultimately will separate the viewers when it comes to, the winners from the losers rather?
Yeah, so there's this interesting thing going on across all of retail, and a lot of them have done a lot of cost cutting, improved operations, and that I think will get them ahead. Now, what will be really crucial is, do you have product that the consumer is resonating, that they're looking for? Is it new? Is it, again, they're very strapped for cash at the moment. So the way that they're shopping is very laser focused. So if I need this, I'll purchase this at this point. If it's $10 more, $100 more, I might take a cut back somewhere else. So again, it's a lot of operations. Are you setting yourself up, but also having the right product at the right time?
Let's talk about some of the biggest trends in the space. What are you noticing right now when it comes to consumers, and what are they gravitating more towards than others?
Yeah, so first of all, we've had more consumers go back to office. Instead of going 3 days a week, you have 4 days a week. So you need more apparel that's going to be suitable for in office. So we've also had new trends. So you see soft trousers really doing well, soft tailoring, more tops, something much more sophisticated and clean.
Sort of like athleisure, right? But more sophisticated.
A bit more elevated. So you think about tailoring. You have blazers, you have soft trousers, and that I've seen an uptick within our proprietary data. In terms of athleisure, if you think about the sports that have been doing very well, and again, the consumer has had more of a mind shift of let's do a wellness, everything. So you have them more in sports and community. So you have racket sports have been up across the board, golf, and also running. So it's not necessarily that we need leggings, but do we need shorts? Because, running and tennis, you'll have that matching sets as well. And as well as tailored bottoms in order for golf. So again, there's just been a shift in the interest of consumers with sport in general.
Where would you say that biggest areas are slowing down?
I would say definitely leggings in terms of categories. Also in terms of other categories, I would say very casual. Again, everything is a little bit more loose, a little bit wider silhouette, again, across the board. If we're talking about active or if we're talking about everyday, back to work, everything is a much more quieter silhouette. So also think muted tones, think, very core items, that's been key. Everything else, if it's loud, if it's very thin, it's definitely something that's come out.
Now we have about 60 seconds left, but I want to talk to you some about the trends. You know, today was the first day of back to school here in New York City, and you know, what are you noticing right now as kids are returning to school? What were some of the biggest trends this fall?
Yeah, so I've been questioning a lot about the Y2K trends, and I think for the younger consumer, it is something, you know, coming back from the 2000s, very late 90s, and we've seen a lot of that. I feel like a lot bit of what looks like Clueless in a way, so that's really come back for the younger consumer.
And you know, Fashion Week is among us, right? September, that's one of the biggest topics, especially here in New York City. What are you anticipating when it comes to some of the fall fashion trends?
So we're looking, you know, every Fashion Week you want newness. You want to be excited by designers, so we're really looking for a lot of that. Again, I'm very keen on the wider silhouette. I do think that has longevity. Again, at a time when a consumer is strapped, brands will do well when there's product that will last their dollar. And again, you can reuse and mix and match in different ways over time.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me.